very much. Elliott Gabriel, to be followed by Elza Serrano.
Hello, Mayor, Council. I'm here to speak again on behalf of the Todo para el Pueblo collective. First, I hope that the Council has been reflecting on the absolute disaster that Chief Williams has overseen since she came on board. In 2012, we saw 4 deadly incidents involving the Oxnard PD, one of which the city recently settled for. Almost 2 years ago, that was when the first incident happened, which was Robert Ramirez, June 23rd, 2012. After that, we held multiple marches demanding that the killer cops be taken off our streets. Instead, they were given paid time off, time to cool off. We also asked that an independent community review board be formed. That was ignored. 2 months later, Michael Mahoney was killed. 2 months after that, some of the same officers involved in the Ramirez killing were involved in the killing of Alfonso Limon and Jose Zepeda. Now we've got a $6.7 million settlement on our hands. And again, the reflecting is needed. You can't just throw money at the problem and hope that it goes away. Peace of mind and security aren't so cheap. When we're talking about a community that was terrorized by what happened that night, this is why we say no justice, no peace. It's not just empty words. The city needs to finally examine the real price of avoiding accountability and the cost that it potentially carries. The settlement was a product of our struggle, the community's struggle, and the families and neighbors looking to each other for support. We jammed up the council, we marched without permits, and maybe we broke a few rules. The chief's friends that she hired still like to say that this is a violent or extreme approach, but these same people who are saying those words were working overtime doing everything they could to keep the community silent, and some of you here endorsed that approach. We have no doubt that the chief wants to clean up the OPD's image, and the lapel cameras might be a good step towards that, really. But where's the justice? The chief refuses to acknowledge misconduct by our officers, and even the announcement that the city will mark October 13th as a, quote, day against community violence confirms this, as if the community has always been at fault for violence, including that night. Why hasn't she made an example of the cops who were implicated in the killings? She sent the top cop who pulled the trigger that night, John Brislinger, after the one-year anniversary march. I'm wearing the shirt for that march right now, where all the families were present. She sent Brislinger after us to criminalize those who organized against police violence. Francisco Romero was later given 5 citation tickets. The message this sends is that the chief wants our community to be silent about misconduct, while officers who kill innocent residents are simply above the law. But as long as these killer cops remain on our streets, we're not going to be silent. For example, why is one of the killer cops involved in both the Ramirez and the Limon killing, why is he at Pacifica High School now with the kids? We need to stop digging in our heels, and finally, you need to do right on this issue. The chief needs to resign because her disastrous concept of management consists of PR. Coffee with the chief, big tent meetings, peace rallies with jolly jumpers, clowns, and pizza. But we don't want a circus, we want accountability. The mandate's there. What we need is a democratically controlled oversight board that can finally create some transparency and get down to the root of abusive police presence and culture that claimed so many lives in 2012. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nyhoff, no clapping, please. Mr. Nyhoff, I know the Chief of Police has made numerous attempts to reach out to the Speaker's organization, and I would hope those efforts at dialogue and would continue, but apparently the overtures have not been accepted, and I would encourage continuing that effort. Okay. Thank you very much. Elza Serrano, to be followed by Daniela Garcia.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Justicia, derecho, razón,
Justice, right, reason, equity, privilege.
¿Oyeron bien? No me equivoqué al decir privilegio.
Didn't you hear me? You heard me right. I said privilege.
Ese mentado, mal entonado privilegio que tienen los
That
pocos,
bad mentioned privilege that few people have, and it comes from the above,
en su peldaño,
causes a lot of damage, and points and finger points so many
pocos.
to cover such few.
Privilegio de ellos,
Their privilege
pocos, al decidir
is that those few who have
vendar las heridas de la familia con vendajes comprados con los fondos económicos de
bandage the wounds of some that got bought with the money from many.
todos. Así declaro
The
esto,
privilege is
perdiendo
what
la
I
razón y la
declare.
equidad.
you lose reason and lose equity. The privilege of selling those sleepless nights and those effortless efforts to not allow that loved one to come in. The voice comes through the memory to your aid. The terrible sadness and constant questioning, why did he have to die? The privilege of using millionaire-type bandages applied to those wounds that are still bleeding because they haven't been healed, because they continue to have open wounds. More than ever today, when we find out the details of the death of the Limon young man, we are impacted from way down from our home without any steps. We demand, we do not forgive, we do not forget. We do not make false declarations before the media for the reconciliation, before the injustice that got committed against the death by the police department's hands of this county. We demand, just demand equity in the application of justice, because every one of us here present, should we commit a crime, wouldn't we only pay with our own salaries? We would also go to prison and we would be judged. Even if this had been a non-premeditated case, we demand that you stop chasing those that decide to go out and do not want to be silenced in the use of our right.
Excuse me, very quickly, your time has expired. Thank you very much. Daniela, refrain from applause, please. Daniela Garcia, to be followed by Steve Nash.
I would like to read the names of the officers who killed Alfonso Limon. Don Earhart, Ernie Orozco, Jess Aragon, John Brislinger, Matthew Ross, Pedro Rodriguez, Rocky Marquez, Ryan Lochner, Zach Stiles. These are all active police officers except for one, I think Orozco, who retired. Did he receive any repercussions for taking an innocent life? Do you believe that these police officers who are active duty are good cops? Do you think they are? Maybe you'll say they just made a mistake. What happens when you go to work and you make a mistake, City Council? Maybe you forget some paperwork, maybe you mispronounce someone's name. They made a so-called mistake and someone's son is dead. Someone's brother's dead. And you can look me in the eye and say, you're gonna send these cops out on our streets again? Once again, some of these cops are implicated in a second murder, taking away an innocent life again, and yet they are still on these streets active duty. So you're gonna wait 3 times a charm? You're gonna wait till it happens again until you take some serious action here? You know who these people are, and yet you sit here complacent that they're doing a good job on our streets. What about all the other officers of Oxnard who work with them every day and who sit silently while there's racial profiling going on, when there's harassment of our youth day to day? What about those officers? They don't speak out against the abuse? So where are we? Where are the good cops in Oxnard? That's my question for you. Because when I went to the press conference with the Limon family, I saw their sadness, I saw their grief, and I know that that is not a mistake, that is not a casual bureaucratic mistake. That is something that we need to fix immediately with the cameras that the Limon family requested on the police officers, and also with the civilian review board that will make sure that abuses do not just get looked over. Oh, we're going to forget now that you have an anti-violence day, we're all going to hold hands with the cops and say thank you for protecting us. We're not going to forget just because there's going to be a plaque now where Alfonso Limon, he lied down, he got out of the way There was an altercation going on. He got out of the way. Remember, they tell you, don't run from the cops, don't run. So he lied down on the side of the road, and you know what happened? He got shot 16 plus times. And you're gonna tell us that we're safe, our youth are safe with these cops on our streets? Just because there's a plaque there, we're gonna feel better about the situation? No, you need to take these officers off the streets now.
Excuse me.